What is going on, guys, and welcome back to another very exciting video. In this video, we're going to be talking about a stock that I personally do own, and that is Alibaba. And Alibaba has been a very exciting stock over the last few months, and the excitement just gets more and more as we have some news coming out about how they're planning to restructure the company to unlock value for investors. So we're going to go over that plan in this video here today, and then we are going to go over my opinion on that plan and what I think that is going to mean for the company moving forward. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below, and if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. Let's start off by taking a look at Alibaba's chart. We can see here today they were up 1.5%. Over the last 5 days, we see this absolutely insane move out of Alibaba. They were up 13.93% over the last week. But if we look at Monday into Tuesday, we can see that the stock spiked up overnight 10% and then continued to run up throughout the day, kind of peaking out around a 14% move up in a single trading day. And when we look at the last 6 months, we can see that Alibaba has gone through a lot of volatility. Here we have the lows of around $50 to $60, and from that low point to our recent highs, we can see that that is almost a 90% move, and then the stock moved all the way back down around 32%, and then since the more recent lows of just a couple weeks ago, we can see that the stock has moved back up 22%. So a lot of volatility going on with the stock, and if we look at the last 5 years, we can see that we have an all-time high here of around $310, and from that all-time high to where we are sitting at right now is almost a 70% downward move. So the news that sent the stock up over 14% in a single trading day is that Alibaba is planning to split the business into 6 different units. And with this restructuring, Alibaba will become the holding company for these 6 different units. The first separate unit will be the Cloud and Intelligence Group, and this will actually be CEO'd by Daniel Zhang, who is the current CEO of Alibaba, and this company will house their cloud business as well as their artificial intelligence activities. As of 2022, Alibaba's cloud business brought in $11.763 billion, and that is up from $2.135 billion in 2018. The second business unit is their e-commerce unit, and that's made up of Taobao and Tmall, and that basically is all of their e-commerce built into those 2 platforms. It is also their largest revenue generator, and this is the only company that Alibaba will maintain 100% ownership in. Their e-commerce business is currently generating around $86 billion in revenue per year just within China. In terms of their international business, they're generating around $9 billion on top of that, and we can see that there's been consistent growth over the last 5 years within this business unit. The third business unit is their local services, and this is basically made up by Alibaba's food delivery service, Elmi, which is basically the Uber Eats of China. And I couldn't find any good revenue estimates for Elmi, but I did find their direct competitor actually just announced earnings and had a 21% jump in revenue year over year. So there is clearly a lot of growth going on in this food service sector. The fourth business unit will be their smart logistics unit. And for this unit in 2022, they had around $6.5 billion in revenue, so one of their smaller units. Most people are familiar with AliExpress. AliExpress is basically Alibaba, but you can order a lot smaller unit quantities. In terms of Lazada, you have actually the Alibaba of Southeast Asia. So they operate in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and the Philippines. And what's very interesting is one of their early investors, actually back in 2012, was JP Morgan Chase. And the last business unit is going to be the Media and Entertainment Group, and this makes up all of Alibaba's streaming and movie businesses. And on top of this restructuring of the business, we have something else interesting going on with Jack Ma actually returning to mainland China. And this is interesting timing. A lot of people are speculating that Jack Ma is actually back in the country to kind of reignite confidence in Alibaba and in China overall, as we've actually started to see China pull back on some of their regulations. A couple years ago, Jack Ma gave a speech that was actually criticizing the Chinese government for a lot of their policies, and now he is actually back in the country, and it seems like they could be mending their relationship, China and Jack Ma, to kind of reestablish a more capitalistic society within China. And overall, the breakup of Alibaba seems to be very strategic in nature. What we have seen over the last couple of years is that the Chinese government has cracked down on large companies within China like Alibaba, like Tencent, because they see them as monopolies. And what Alibaba seems to be doing here is taking that into their own hands and really splitting up the company on their own. I'm sure the Chinese government has some advice behind the scenes and really is pushing the company to split up, but Alibaba has made that decision to go forward with splitting up the company and potentially reduce the amount of regulation and scrutiny that they come under from the Chinese government. Even with the breakup of Alibaba, you still have very large businesses making up these smaller units. So Alibaba is the world's largest digital payment platform. Tmall is the third most visited website in the world. You also have buried within Alibaba the fifth largest AI company, one of the world's largest venture capital firms, and then also the number 2 player in the world for financial services with Ant Group. So with all of that said, what personally am I looking for in this split up? I want to make sure that share value is actually maintained, because what could end up happening is if they split off parts of these different companies and try and issue IPOs, which it sounds like is what they're trying to do. They're trying to allow some of these other business units to IPO, get additional funding, and push that funding out to basically grow their businesses. The problem with that you could run into is if they issue more shares to basically create this funding. And if they're issuing more shares, what that means is they are diluting you as a shareholder. So basically when Alibaba splits up these businesses, they could either allow you as the shareholder to get basically parts of these other companies, or they could pay you a dividend or do something, basically to get you reimbursed for your shares, whether that's offering you shares or paying you out in some sort of way. But if they instead just offer more shares out to the market to try and raise more money, that will be diluting your ownership in the company. So that is what I personally am going to watch out for going forward with Alibaba, because if they start diluting shareholders, that is not a good thing. That basically is going to devalue the shares that you have in those smaller companies. I want to see instead the value increase and them really take care of their shareholders moving forward. The good part is a lot of these smaller businesses are very growth related businesses, right? Their cloud business is going to be huge moving forward. Food delivery within China could also be a very big revenue generator for that company. So there are some interesting dynamics there with growth, but ultimately I don't want shareholders to be devalued with this move. So with all of that said, I am going to be keeping a close eye on Alibaba over the next few months to see what they announce going forward. Are they going to devalue shares? Are they going to IPO a bunch of new shares? Are they going to offer dividends as payment for some of these companies as they sell off portions of them? Basically, what are they going to be doing moving forward? So if they kind of start devaluing shareholders, I might sell out of, either those smaller companies, if they are the logistics company and they're issuing a bunch of new shares, maybe I'll sell out of that. The underlying business of Alibaba with Tmall and Taobao, I do actually like. I think they have a lot of growth there. We showed the revenue numbers. They are outstanding. And I think they have a lot of growth still in front of them within China and within, Southeast Asia as well. So those two companies I am kind of most interested in potentially holding on to. But again, I want to see how they move forward with the rest of these companies. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got value out of it. Make sure you are doing your own research before you are buying into any company and that it makes sense for your portfolio and your time horizon. But with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And if you want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit that sub button. And as always, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day.